Thank you so much. We'll now move to the government side for 7.5 minutes. MPP Smith, please go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. First, I want to congratulate you for bringing this to the table. Fair warning, I live in Thornhill. We are home to 5 of 7 of the group of 7. So I'm a proud roamer of those streets, so to speak. And we can talk about that a little bit more. And I appreciated the fact that you brought to the table how much of a Canadian experience the landscape of the Canadian experience was to the group of 7. And it's kind of heartening for me because they actually took what was known as the radial, which was a transit or form of transit, one of the first forms of transit actually, along Yonge Street to get to Northern Ontario. It must have been a very long drive, so to speak, and they must have camped out for a very long time just to get all of these possible pictures or sketches. So I truly appreciate what you're bringing to the table. I also live within steps of McDonald's House, and I played with my son in the location where Tangled Garden was conceived and created. So it is kind of heartwarming to see this happening. But I guess my question to you is, we have days or months that recognize so many different cultures, so many different events in Ontario and in Canada. Why do you feel that this day should be categorized, or why do you feel it should be given a specific point in time to be celebrated?
Thank you, through you, Chair, to the member from Thornhill. It isn't just going to be about one day, but there's a certain magic to the group of 7 as a number, even though it wasn't a fixed group of 7, as I've already indicated. It evolved and included additional artists over time. But there's a certain magic to matching that number, the group of 7, with a day and a month of the year. So that's why I proposed the 7th day of the 7th month. And if passed, it would be the 7th day of the week, Sunday, July 2024. Sunday, July 7, 2024 would be the first group of 7 day. But also, although we had to focus on one day for the purposes of a proclamation in celebration of the group of 7, it is about the entire summer months promoting tourism. It is about the month before, which promotes field trips by our young people from our elementary and secondary schools. And I did want to point out, too, that, and I referenced this in my opening submission, that two individuals from the members' community, a former Markham councillor, Valerie Burke, spoke of this Tangled Garden that the member speaks of. And in her submission, she writes, and I quote, "The Group of 7 Awareness Day is especially significant for historic Thornhill Village because the majority of the Group of 7 artists lived in Thornhill. J.E.H. MacDonald was inspired by his beautiful Thornhill garden and painted the spectacular Tangled Garden of which the member for Thornhill speaks, which is proudly displayed at the National Gallery in Ottawa." That's Valerie Burke, former councillor from Markham. Current Ward 5 Vaughan councillor Gila Martow, who is also the member for Thornhill's, the member's predecessor for the riding of Thornhill, also wrote in support of the bill and writes that the City of Vaughan hosted the Art on Boxes program, where Vaughan High School students competed, and the results were outstanding. And she writes that 2 of the chosen art pieces were Group of 7 themed. One was a heritage house, and the other a rocky landscape with trees. And Gila Martow writes about her late mother, who was passionate about art, and some of her favorite memories of her mother include their annual visits to see the Group of 7 collection at the Michael Art Gallery in the historic village of Kleinburg, one of Vaughan's non-Wonderland tourist attractions. And Gila, having lived in Thornhill on the Vaughan side, or rather the Thornhill side of Vaughan, for over 3 decades, serving the community in many roles, including an optometrist, an MPP, and now a local councillor, is enthusiastic about our Bill 78 proposal. And this, she says, and I quote, "can and will raise awareness of the Group of 7 and their strong ties to Thornhill, which 5 of the artists called home." and she looks forward to doing all that she can to help promote this wonderful initiative. So not only is the member for Thornhill currently an excellent member and an excellent parliamentarian, she follows in the wonderful footsteps of former MPP Marteau, who I believe the chair served with over many years as well.
Thank you very much. I want to talk about, you talked about, it's an economy as well. The arts, it nourishes us in so many ways, but it's also necessary that the arts fills other boots as well. And the arts have definitely suffered during COVID. We've seen this. I believe I was just watching a report last night where they talked about movies, not that I can cross-compare movies in the group of 7, but movies are now happily at a point where attendance is now at a 2019 level, which is fantastic because we're getting kind of past certain points in time. What do you think this will do economically for the communities that house a group of 7? Or what do you think this could possibly do for the economies of scale for Ontario in general?
A minute and 15 seconds.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again through you, Chair, and I thank the member for the question. There's nothing like being in person. We did what we had to do during the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions, but the only alternative, sure, you could do a Zoom presentation at one of our art galleries, but the ability of young people and all of our students and families to be able to attend in person at our galleries, to see them in person, to see the 2,500 works that are displayed at the National Gallery in Ottawa, to see the wonderful works at Kleinberg, at the McMichael Gallery, to honor the memory of 6 of the members of the group of 7, to be there in person. There's nothing like it. And of course, with in-person activity comes spending, because the admission is not free, nor should it be, but all of the tourist activity creates economic activity, which creates economic growth, and that creates the government's ability to stand alongside the self-funding that occurs among these galleries with government funding through all sorts of grants, whether it be the Trillium Fund or the Resilient Communities Fund. That's where the taxpayer dollars come from, economic activity and economic growth.
Thank you very much.